In ninth grade, I was enrolled in an advanced English class, and it was the only time in my life when a teacher openly disliked me. Others might have been annoyed by my lack of effort here and there, but they still treated me like a person. She didn't bother to hide her irritation, partly because she disliked athletes, though students often missed class due to away games. And I played 3 different sports, so I missed a lot. Even though I also competed in math, academic, and quiz tournaments, she cared only about the sports absences. She deliberately assigned far more homework after long away games, knowing we wouldn't have time to finish it all. And the funniest thing was she only checked homework after those trips. That wasn't the only injustice. She gave me 70 ADS with no red marks at all, while my classmates' papers were covered in corrections, and they still got 90+. After another strangely low grade, I asked her why. She said, "You're working at only 70% of your potential, and others are at 90, I clarified. "So my work can be better and still get 20 points less?" She said, "Yes." Ironically, she was the one who had recommended me for the advanced writing course a year early. At the end of the year, she offered extra credit. We had to attend a production of Antigone at a local college, write 2,500 words connecting it to the curriculum, and submit the paper with the ticket stub. The play ran only from Friday to Sunday, and the deadline was Monday. But that Monday, I was at the biggest academic competition of the year, one you had to qualify for. My absence was completely legitimate. For an entire week, I reminded her I would be gone, and she told me 4 times to submit my paper Tuesday morning. I went to the play, wrote the essay, competed winning 2 top placements, and brought her the paper at a M on Tuesday. She refused to take it, saying it was too late, and she didn't remember giving me permission to turn it in Tuesday. She gave 3 arguments. Another student who missed the play had managed to submit on time, but he lived across the street from the school. I lived 20 minutes away. My mom worked at the same school. She could have brought it. She had her own classes. I could have written it Monday evening, which would be unfair to others. I showed the file metadata. Last edit was Saturday. She still gave me 0. This teacher loved bragging that no one had ever earned an A on her final exam. On the last day, she asked, "What do you want most?" I said, "To get an A on the final." She laughed. "And I want $1 million, and to never deal with you again." The final had 100 questions and a 5-point bonus asking what we liked most about the course. I wrote that I wasn't sure I learned anything, that she never commented on my work, and that the best part of the course was that it was over. I added that she was the worst teacher I had ever had. After the exam, she found me and ordered me to the principal, dragging my mother out of her own testing session. She was crying, yelling, barely breathing. I told the principal everything that had happened throughout the year. After 45 minutes, he asked, "How many points is this bonus worth?" She said, 5. He replied, "Then just don't give her the bonus." I got a 98 instead of 103. I missed only 2 questions. The next highest grade was an 81. Right before grades were finalized, one of my assignments from August was suddenly lowered by 10 points. My final grade became 94 for a B at the time. I couldn't prove she changed it deliberately, though I had recorded all my scores. The numbers clearly came to 95.2. That summer, the school switched to a 10-point scale, and anything above 90 became an A. My B automatically became an A. She was then required to have her homework checks overseen weekly by the department head, and to accept assignments via email. 2 years later, she was fired after other students reported serious issues. Until then, the administration assumed it was just kids complaining about a strict teacher. After that final exam incident, I felt an odd emptiness for a long time, not relief, not anger, but exhaustion. It felt like the entire 9th grade had been a test of patience rather than a school year. And when it finally ended, I spent weeks unable to believe I wouldn't see her every day anymore. People at school began to treat me differently, no longer as a troublemaker or a little rebel, but as someone who had endured something most hadn't even noticed. Teachers who used to nod indifferently suddenly seemed warmer. One even told me quietly, "I heard you had a rough year. You handled it well." In upper grades, I often walked past that same classroom, but the door was always closed. A new teacher had taken over, young, calm, and easygoing. Once, he asked me to help carry boxes of dictionaries. I realized he didn't actually need help. He was watching me look around the room. "They say it used to be difficult here," he said softly. I smiled. You could say that. It was the first moment I truly felt that year was behind me. After she was fired, several classmates admitted they had also had problems with her, but were afraid to speak up. Some feared retaliation, grades, reputation, conflict. Others thought it was just her style. One boy said, "I'm glad you spoke up back then. I never could have." That touched me more than any competition win or grade. In 11th grade, I found my old Antigone essay at the bottom of a drawer. I read a few paragraphs, and for the first time, I didn't think of her with bitterness. Instead, I felt pride, not for grades or arguments, but for not giving up, for not letting someone convince me my work didn't matter. Looking back, I realized that year taught me more than any textbook. Not about grammar or literature, about myself, about how even adults can be unfair, about the importance of speaking when someone belittles you, about how the hardest teachers sometimes give the most valuable lessons. And when people ask me now if I regret the experience, I honestly say, no, it was hard, unpleasant, exhausting, but it taught me to stand up for myself. And that's why I remember it so clearly. Not because it was terrible, but because I walked out of it stronger.